Quite a lot of talking going on about him at the moment. Leicester have been quoted with having an interest in him. It doesn't seem as if he's been too long in the door at Celtic, Matt O'Reilly, but he's done really well, and it's not a great surprise. And the fact that he's broken through into the Danish under-21 team as well, that raises his profile, and maybe not a surprise that there's a lot of interest around him.
Yeah, no, and I think when I look at Matt O'Reilly when he came to Celtic, I didn't know too much about him. You know, when you start to research players and look at the background, a bit of digging in terms of the stats around those players as well. And when it comes to the stats, I've probably mentioned it before, but he's right up there. He's a top player. He's a top athlete. And when clubs look at that recruitment process just now, that's one of the key elements of recruitment is how far they can run, how much they run, how much intensity they've got to what they do. Not only that, he's also a really technically gifted footballer, and he slotted into that Celtic team like he had probably been a player that had come through the academy almost. You know, that it was a very seamless transition. Top performances, real standout moments, and he's a young player, as I mentioned. He's only going to get better, so that, no, it's no surprise that clubs are looking at him, but I'm sure that doesn't bother Ange Postecoglou too much. It means they're doing the right thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I have to keep checking his age. I was doing it right there. He's not 22 till November.
Yeah.
And I just can't quite believe that about him, because maybe it's the maturity with which he
really
plays.
Rob. He does, yeah. And he's a player that never looks stressed. He doesn't ever get too animated looking on the pitch. I don't think he looks like a young player that at times could be, you know, it's probably stereotypical, but irate, and certainly under moments of pressure, you know, could lose her head a bit or look frustrated. He strolls through games, and he actually was very similar to a Tom Rogic type player like that, where his persona never changes, which to have that at 21 years old is pretty impressive. But he's clearly had a good education in the game, values this moment in his career as well at the club that he's playing, and performance wise, and if you get the opportunity, you know, what is there to be stressed about, really?
Exactly. I was noting the comments of Ange Postecoglou today. He says about the interest, he says, I encourage it. If big clubs want our players, that's great. It means they're going well. I keep saying to the boys, they don't need to worry about their futures if they're the best they can be today. That kind of stuff doesn't come on my radar, so I don't worry about it. And that's very true, isn't it? I mean, you look across the city at Joe Aribo, best part of £10 million to Southampton, best part of £20 million for Bassi to Ajax. So that's what happens. But if you're making massive profit on players, then you can't really be complaining.
Well, this is it. You know, and Bassi's a prime example. He didn't even play a full season really for Rangers. You know, he was there, he was on the bench. It was only towards, you know, the last half of the season when he came in and showed how good he could be, and the versatility as well is helpful. But I think the market in Scotland, albeit clubs are now making a hell of a lot more than they once were, but when you look at the other markets across Europe and what other clubs are spending for players like for like, just based on the country that they play their football, so Ange Postecoglou's right. If clubs are looking at his players, it means they're doing something right. There's nothing to be stressed about. And if you're happy in your day job, Rob, as well, and you've got any aspirations and ambitions to move on or one day go to the English Premier League, performing is the only way that will get you there. You can have as many agents as you want, you can tout yourself about, but if you play, you perform, you'll certainly get the headlights, because the profile of being at, you know, a Rangers and a Celtic, as we've seen with Calvin Bassey in the Europa League run, that was why clubs were looking at him, because you have that profile and that starts to grow, and you don't need to say too much about it. Just keep performing and the interest will come.